To Solitude. O solitude, if I must with thee dwell, by John Keats, 1795 to 1821. O solitude, if I must with thee dwell, let it not be among the jumbled heap of murky buildings. Climb with me the steep, nature's observatory, whence the dell, its flowery slopes, its river's crystal swell, may seem a span. Let me thy vigils keep, Mongst boughs pavilion'd, where the deer's swift leap startles the wild bee from the foxglove bell. But though I'll gladly trace these scenes with thee, yet the sweet converse of an innocent mind, whose words are images of thoughts refined, is my soul's pleasure, and it sure must be almost the highest bliss of humankind, when to thy haunts two kindred spirits flee. Okay, this is a poem, a sonnet by John Keats. John Keats was one of the second generation romantic poets. He came from London. He was studying to be a doctor, and unfortunately he died at the age of 25, so he died very young. He wasn't very famous during his lifetime. He was perhaps starting to be, but many of his poems were published perhaps 30 years after his death, and he got more and more popular after he died. Now this is a sonnet to solitude. This is the poem is saying that if I have to be alone, I don't want to be alone in the city. The city is not the place to be alone. The place to be alone is in the beauty of nature, in some kind of wilderness, out in the countryside, a place where I can where he can live, where he can look at nature, he can look at the valley, he can look at the deer and the bees, where all of these beautiful creatures are. So if he must live with solitude, to dwell, to live, if he must be alone, then let it be in the countryside. And then there's a Volta, and he says, but even better than that would be to live in a place like this in the countryside, with one kindred spirit, with one person who is a simple person who thinks this in the same way as I do, who has the same types of ideas, and to live in nature with one person like this who you can converse with and talk to, would be almost the most fantastic thing that could exist. He does say almost, and it makes me wonder what the most fantastic thing is. I'm sure that that's something to do with love, but that it doesn't say what it is. So, O solitude, if I must with thee dwell. So if I've got to live with you. So it's almost like Keats and solitude are companions. And notice this poem is to solitude, so solitude is personified, and he's writing this sonnet to solitude as if it if solitude was a person, and he's talking to solitude. He's stating that if he has to live with solitude, let it not be among the jumbled heap of murky buildings. So please don't let it be in the city, in all of this pile of dirty, unpleasant buildings. No, not in the city, please. So solitude will be my companion. Climb with me the steep. So climb up the hill with me. Nature's observatory. So here I think, climb with me the steep, climb up a hill with me to nature's observatory, a place where you can look down on nature. Whence the dell, its flowery slopes, its river's crystal swell. So if you're on the slope, he's looking down at the slopes of flowers, from where the dell, the valley. So he's talking about the water running down the valley when it rains, and this collects in the bottom of the valley, in the bottom of the dell, and there is this river of crystal. May seem a span. So nature's observatory, from where the river of the valley looks like the span of a hand. It's the width of a hand. So I'm looking down and I can see the river in the distance. And the river, the water is being collected by the flowery slopes, the slopes of flowers. Let me thy vigils keep mongst boughs pavilion'd. So let me stay, let me be with you, let me be alone in a vigil, let me stay awake with you, let me pass my time with you amongst the boughs of the trees. So in the houses of the trees, but in the pavilion of the branches of the trees. And this is a place where the deer's swift leap startles the wild bee from the foxglove bell. So this is a place where the deer jumping frighten the bee. So a foxglove is a flower that has a bell, normally it's purple, that hangs down, and the bee goes up and inside the foxglove to get the nectar. And there's this image of this deer running past, and it suddenly frightens the bee out of this foxglove bell. It's a lovely image, the bee and the foxglove bell. But though I'll gladly trace these scenes with thee. So, and although I'm happy to see these scenes with you alone, Solitude. Yeah, I'm perfectly happy to see the beauty of nature alone with you, Solitude. Yet the sweet converse of an innocent mind, whose words are images of thoughts refined, is my soul's pleasure. So here we've got the Volta, but though, yet, it's changing. And yes, I would love to be alone with you, Solitude, in nature. But if I could have the conversation of an innocent mind, of a simple person, whose words are the picture of refined thoughts, whose words, who knows how to speak, this would be the pleasure of my soul. So it would be a great pleasure for me to be in this place, in beautiful nature, with somebody who I am a kindred spirit, who is like me, someone I could talk to. And it sure must be almost the highest bliss of humankind. So, and that would be almost the most pleasurable thing that a human could feel, the most beautiful thing that a human could feel, when in nature, into thy haunts, into nature where there is no one else, two similar spirits, two people who are like-minded, where these two people, they flee, they run away, or they are away from the world, away from the city, away from the problems of men. So this poem, it's about solitude and nature, and that for him to be alone in nature, to commune with nature, is a wonderful thing. And if he's alone, he would be very happy to commune with nature alone. But even more beautiful than that would be to commune with nature, with somebody who understood the world in the same way as he does. So nature is beautiful, but there's also a need for human companionship as well. So, to Solitude. O solitude, if I must dwell with thee, by John Keats.